Salufalava, this is Pacific Waves from RNZ Pacific. I'm Susana Suisuki. Coming up, Samoa's former Prime Minister suing successor. Also,
vital as they are, we must tackle methane and other short-lived gases.
Pacific climate leaders dismayed over Aotearoa's slashed methane goals. And teachers in Fiji call for corporal punishment. We head to Samoa to hear the latest with the Manawanui wreckage and other local developments. I'm joined by our RNZ Pacific Samoa correspondent, Ngalumalemana Tipi Otangavaya. Talofa Tipi, what have you heard from the locals in terms of the Manawanui compensation?
Well, interesting to see in some of the reports from that meeting this week, how some people in some villages is thinking about the distribution of the 10 million. One village, which is the Pitoala, the representative at the meeting was telling that they should have the 5 million tala of the 10 million compensation because I think the ship is right there close to that village of the Safaka district. One village was said, well, it's supposed to be equally divided on all the villages of the district. But I think it's good to see when the budget is passed in Parliament soon, how the government and the district is going to sit down and discuss and give some advice to the leaders of the district on how to divide the 10 million.
Yeah, I also understand that the Samoan government is seeking more funding from New Zealand. Can you confirm if that's the case?
Yes, we were told by the Minister of Finance in our last week media conference that there is another 14 million tala in terms of funding programs to make sure the environment is protected, the marine resources are protected. So I think that's another long-term activity for the district of Wasafata on that 14 million, which is total up to 26 million. But I believe because this is a new government taking over, we don't know the new government how they're going to sit down with the New Zealand government again and discuss this compensation issue.
Right. So the Samoan government, they're requesting 14 million on top of this.
No, the Minister of Finance did not say it was requested. She was telling the media that there is another 14 million tala cost for the activities to make sure the marine resources and the environment of the district is protected. Okay. In the long term.
So you're saying that the Samoa government and the New Zealand government, they haven't yet had another talk to discuss topping up the compensation funds?
Yes, that's my understanding. And I believe, according to the New Zealand High Commission speech at the gathering this week, both governments are still negotiating and continue on with their discussions.
Okay. Thank you for that. The last time we spoke, some of the public servants weren't being paid. Is that still the case?
Well, I understand most of the public servants are still getting paid, despite of the government operating in the emergency budget for 30 days. But there are some other issues relating to overtimes and allowances. I think that must be the reason behind the walkout of the kitchen staff at the Tupuatama Sensei Hospital on Wednesday. And I think that has been resolved, I understand. So some employees of the government are still facing those money issues with their overtimes and allowances. But once the budget, I believe, is going to be passed, then there shouldn't be any more problem.
The last time we spoke, you said that the Minister of Finance, she hadn't yet disclosed the how much the emergency budget was operating
Yes.
on? Yeah. So
Yes,
was she able to
it's
give
not.
that?
It's not. Yeah, she was mentioning last week that for 1 week, it's estimated at $12 million for the whole of that week operation. The cost under the emergency budget,
Okay.
because it's weekly budget every week that the Ministry of Finance pass it on to the head of state for his endorsement, because that's a requirement of the Constitution when the government is operating in an emergency budget.
Okay, this is one piece of news that is still developing, but former Prime Minister Fia May has filed a lawsuit against La'auli. Why is that?
Yes, I understand this legal action is filed in the Supreme Court, and it's a civil case where $1.1 billion compensation is in the heart of the legal action by the former Prime Minister against the leader of the Fatu Tuile Samoa Watasi Party and the current Prime Minister. Well, the roadshow of Fast Party before the general election, La'auli made some comments alleging that the one of the his supporters and close family member has disclosed that Fia May is alleged to have been involved in the death of Dr. Caroline Sinavayana Carver, the American Samoa citizen and professor. That's the whole reason behind the legal action against the current Prime Minister.
Has La'auli or anyone from the Fast Party responded to that lawsuit? Or
No, there is no response
statement
yet.
yet.
But no statement. So I understand not only this case is going to go to the Supreme Court as a civil matter, but there is also a complaint filed by Fia May, the former Prime Minister, to the police for charges under the criminal libel.
all right, let's finish off our talanoa on a lighter note. We've got the Kiwis and Tō Samoa game this Sunday. Have there been any fanfare or parades in the lead up to that game in Samoa?
It's interesting to see that the supporters of Tō Samoa this week, there's not much fanfare before the game here, but I've seen a lot of great support from our community there in Auckland and New Zealand as a whole for our Tō Samoa Rugby League team.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure, even though we haven't seen any parade here with flags and wearing blue for the Tō Samoa, I believe that everyone is looking forward to that game on Sunday with the Kiwis. And go Tō Samoa!
New Zealand's decision to slash its methane reduction goals by nearly half is being labelled disheartening and shocking by the region's climate leaders. The big brother of the Pacific is also remaining silent on the criticism. Caleb Fotheringham reports.
International adaptation finance flows must grow sixfold.
That's Tuvalu's Climate Minister Maina Talia speaking at the Adaptation Futures Conference in Christchurch, the crowd getting particularly excited over the call to reduce methane.
I end by saying that the fight for 1.5 degrees Celsius cannot be won with carbon dioxide reduction alone. Vital as they are, we must tackle methane and other short-lived gases.
It's a response to the New Zealand government cutting biogenetic methane reduction targets to 14 to 24% below 2017 levels by 2050, well below the previous target of 24 to 47%.
We are disheartening to hear that New Zealand is decreasing its emission targets.
The Director General of the Pacific Regional Environment Programme, or SPREP, Sefania Nawadra, wants to see New Zealand do more.
I'm hoping that they will take responsibility for those emissions to ensure they contribute to the reductions that we all know is needed.
So are you disappointed by the reduction?
It's not for me to say yes or no, but I know Pacific Island countries will be disappointed because it doesn't contribute constructively to the work that we're all trying to do.
Caleb Pollard is part of Pacific Island Students Fighting Climate Change, the group that successfully took their campaign for climate accountability to the International Court of Justice. He says he found out about New Zealand's methane reduction through Minister Talia's speech at the conference.
Yeah, that was shocking news there when I heard about that.
Mr. Pollard says he and other students have gotten used to these types of discussions being made by governments.
It's a shared burden, so it should be a shared responsibility. So we're very hopeful that the advisory opinion can really strengthen the decisions and agreements being made.
Pacific climate activists have been critical for a while of both New Zealand and Australia's climate policies. Last month, the Albanese government extended one of the world's biggest gas export projects. Just prior to it being announced, the ABC reported Vanuatu's climate minister warning the extension could be in breach of the International Court of Justice ruling that found states can be held legally accountable for their greenhouse gas emissions. Cynthia Honui, president of Pacific Islands Students Fighting Climate Change, says she grew up viewing Australia and New Zealand as the big brothers of the Pacific.
But the more I learn, I know that we need to ask more of each other. And the Pacific have been very ambitious in terms of the climate leadership. So we truly believe that New Zealand and Australia can be that leader that we need as well.
She says ambitious climate action is in everyone's interest, as the same cyclones and natural disasters that are becoming more severe in places like Vanuatu, Fiji and Tonga also impact New Zealand and Australia.
We all have a stake to lose here. We all are in this together and we need to start recognising that.
Meanwhile, New Zealand Climate Minister Simon Watts did not respond to RNZ Pacific's request for comment.
RNZ Pacific's Caleb Fotheringham with that report. For a look at what's happening in the news this week, I'm joined by our morning bulletin editor, Christina Persico. Talofa, Christina, I see there's a few health updates in the region. What can you tell us about that?
Malolava, Susanna. Yeah, that's right. So obviously we've had a few health concerns in the region this year. Dengue, whooping cough, HIV concerns in Fiji and Papua New Guinea as well. I've got the latest on these. So dengue fever appears to be slowing down in some places. The Cook Islands dengue alert level has been downgraded from red to blue. Reports from the UN Relief Web say daily case numbers there are now ranging between 1 and 3. In Kiribati, there's been 4 new cases between September the 30th and October the 9th. The most affected group is kids between 3 and 9 years old. Then on the whooping cough front, Vanuatu has reported 348 cases. Most of these are in babies up to 6 months old. 3 babies also died earlier in the year from the disease, according to the Ministry of Health.
On to Fiji now, where it seems that teachers are having issues with discipline in schools.
That's right. A guy named Paula Manu Nitonga is the General Secretary of the Teachers Association in Fiji. He says teachers are being sworn at, have had objects thrown at them, have had their hair pulled. Local media is reporting the association's suggestion is the return of some form of corporal punishment, but under strict conditions and used as a deterrent. He says if a teacher has a belt lying on his table, the kids will not make a noise, but when that belt disappears, there's havoc. But unsurprisingly, not everyone's a fan. UNICEF Pacific, their Chief of Child Protection, Michael Copeland, told the ABC there are other options, such as school counselling, mental health services for kids who are struggling, and capacity building for teachers. And Fiji's Permanent Secretary for Justice, Selina Kuruletha, she's also a psychologist. She says when a child is struck, even lightly, the brain will register danger.
What looks like discipline on the outside is inside the brain a shutdown of curiosity and trust. The child's focus moves from understanding right and wrong to simply avoiding pain. Repeated often enough, that pattern rewires the brain, breeds anxiety, mistrust and aggression.
Selina Kuruletha also cites a United Nations Children's Fund report, which says 81% of Fijian children, that's 8 out of 10, they experience violent discipline at home.
And in the Cook Islands, residents of one of the northern outer islands are without electricity.
Yes, so Tuhunu residents in Manihiki, the power station burnt down. The fire broke out while they were changing from diesel generation to the solar power system, which is a routine process normally. Now they're trying to identify the cause of the fire. The island's executive officer, Retire Puapi'i, told the Cook Islands television, the good news is there are no fatalities, but there's also now no electricity. He says they do have emergency generators giving limited power to parts of the island to keep some food freezers going.
And to wrap up, what else is catching headlines in the news this week?
Yeah, so here in Aotearoa, doctors are planning another strike over pay. Career firefighters are striking for an hour today, actually. So that's from midday Friday, New Zealand time. In fact, next Thursday will be one of the largest striking days in a long time, with nurses, other health workers and teachers all planning to walk off the job. An overstaying case has also been in the news. An 18-year-old facing deportation to India, despite the fact he's never set foot in the country. He was born here in New Zealand to overstaying parents. A lawyer is suggesting New Zealand aligns its laws with places like Australia and the UK. They grant citizenship to children who have lived there for 10 years. And finally, in the UK, one of the world's longest dinosaur trackways has been uncovered in a limestone quarry in southern England. The new path stretches for 220 metres and is made up of 100 footprints. These footprints are 1 metre wide. The footprints are from a sauropod dinosaur, a four-legged, long-necked, plant-eating creature that could reach about 18 metres in length.
Whawhetai Christina. That's the news wrap from our morning bulletin editor, Christina Persico. That's Pacific Waves for today. For all episodes, head over to rnz.co.nz/Pacific. We're also on Spotify, Apple and iHeartRadio. From myself and the RNZ Pacific team, tō whā, sui fua.